worrying less about education for the craft and trying to get more education on running a business, falling into those leadership roles. I want to always be improving my craft. Now the big buckets are more like, how do I grow as a leader? How do I grow as a business owner? How do I grow in like these elements? Like, how do I grow in delegating? How do I grow in letting go? And what I love about those kind of traits too, like the craft traits are great, but what's cool about those traits, like me growing as a leader in a business, is naturally going to help me grow as a leader, as a father, or as a husband. And so I've almost become addicted to wanting to grow that because it's not only going to help the business, but then it helps me personally as well.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Closers. Today I'm sitting down with Travis Heberling. I've known him for probably last 15 years.
Over a decade, yeah.
Over a decade for sure. He runs multiple companies, Visual, Film Works, and Bella.
Tiamo.
There you go. Well, I'm super excited to have you sit down with me today to do this episode of Coffee with Closers, Travis.
Yeah, thanks for having me sit down and do this, Sam. I've seen your podcast over the years, so it's kind of cool to actually be on it this time.
You certainly have filmed multiple episodes for me when we've had other guests, so appreciate you actually sitting down with me. So for the audience that may not know about you, can you share a little bit about your journey of how you got started? In the business?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I started around 2011, which is actually around when we first met. So you met me pretty much like right out of college. Went to school to study stuff. Always was a creative by heart, but just didn't know how to channel that. So as I was growing up, I was really fascinated by computer art. At that time, that's like when a lot of movies like Toy Story started coming out, and I was really into those kind of things. But growing up in a small town, we didn't really have avenues to express that. So we had traditional art classes, which I was not good at. I was not good at painting or drawing or anything like that. And so I just kind of waited, basically. I was like, okay, I know I want to do something in this realm, just not sure what. And so waited it out. Once it was time for college, I was like, you know what, I should just go in art school and I'll kind of figure it all out and see what I like and what I don't like. So I decided to go to the Illinois Institute of Art in Schaumburg, which brought me to the Chicagoland area. Studied there for 3.5 years or whatever it was. And during that time, I took up a major of basically what they called special effects and motion graphics. So if you're not sure what that really means, basically special effects is when you see a movie, or even a lot of times used in just small commercials, is if there's like green screen happening where they had to green screen someone in or composite something in, that's essentially special effects. And then motion graphics is all the animation stuff. So whether it's like logo animations or if you see like character animation, that was essentially the stuff I wanted to do. And pretty quickly out of high school, pretty quickly out of college, I just thought, okay, I'm out of college. I'm going to just find a place to work for. And that's kind of my goal. Had no idea that I would like eventually start running my own business. I just was like, hey, let me find somewhere that I can work. The problem is everywhere is always looking for years and years of expertise. They want someone who's been doing it for a long time. Well, fresh out of college, how do you find that expertise? So I started just freelancing, just taking whatever freelance odd jobs I could find. That's probably around when we met, because you found me because you were looking for video content for some of your clients. And as I was doing the animation work, I realized I didn't love it as much as I thought I did. I thought I would be really into it, but if you're not familiar with it, it's very heavy computer work. Like I was just in front of a computer all the time. When I was freelancing for some of these larger studios, there was a huge grind. It was, I'd have to start at like 6 a.m., wrap up at like 9 p.m. because we'd have to get this spot done for Coca-Cola or whatever by the next day. And so you just had to show up early, leave late. And I just didn't like that kind of like work commitment. And so as I was doing some of the freelance jobs, I would get these clients who would ask me, hey, you made this nice animated video for me. Can you also film like a testimonial of a client of mine? Or can you, take photos of our products? So I started doing that, started kind of figuring that out. And I found that I love that a lot more. So I kind of dropped a lot of the animation stuff. I started leaning more into this video production stuff. At the same time, I started filming weddings, which in college, that was like the one thing they always kind of told you not to do. It was like the bottom of the barrel. But at the time that I graduated, there was kind of this shift in weddings where we had access to cameras that could create stuff that looked like movies. And so these weddings started becoming more creative, and you could have a drone and all these like fun tools that we would use at a wedding. And so I started leaning into that. But then as I was doing that, I found, okay, couples don't take me seriously if I'm just some random freelance guy with a camera. So that's where I started learning business. And I was like, okay, I need to set up an LLC. I need to have a bank account that's separate of my personal bank account. And I started kind of learning all the business side of things. And that's where it all started really clicking for me of like, oh, okay, like this doesn't have to just be me. This can become something bigger than that. And that's essentially how it's gotten to where it's at now. During that process, which I'm sure we'll probably get into a little bit more, I separated the Bella Ti Amo and started another brand, which is Visual Filmworks. So with Visual Filmworks, we help support local businesses and nonprofits, help them with their video marketing.
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly build on what you just shared. Obviously, there's an amazing story of how from a small town, you moved to Chicago, went to college, and whatever you had passion in didn't really pan out to be where you wanted to spend the rest of your life. And then you ended up finding a path where it actually made more business sense for you. So before this episode even started, we talked about just the very thought of you had to diversify your business, and you also had to kind of separate the type of customers that you want to serve. Yeah. So can you build on that? The whole idea behind, well, it is still creating videos. One was creating video for like a wedding audience. The other one is more so on the corporate side. But you saw there was a need to distinguish your capabilities, even though it's camera, point and shoot, and being creative, it still had to be separated in terms of how you would position your brand, position your company. So talk to us a little bit about why did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of us in the creative world, whether we're a photographer, videographer, I would even say like a DJ, a musician to an extent, when we first get out there, we're just hungry for work. So we're willing to kind of shoot whatever. Like someone inquires, like, I have $300 for a music video. Can you do it? Yes. I have a realtor reaches out. Hey, I need you to shoot my listing. Can you do it? Yes. Like we say yes to everything. So then we also don't want to scare away anyone. So you look at our website and it just becomes videos of everything. Like you got videos of manufacturing plants, videos for nonprofits, videos of quinceañeras. Like there's so many different things we put out there. But then when someone comes to that website, you just look like a guy that does everything, but you're not a specialist in anything. So I had discovered that fairly early on, especially doing weddings and having that versus commercial. Like it was just talking to two totally different types of people. Like talking to a couple, their goal of this video is very different than what the goal is of a business owner who's looking to get more revenue. Like the couple, it is an investment for them in a way, but it's a different kind of investment. It's like an emotional investment. It's a time investment. It's something where like, okay, they want to spend some extra money because they want to have something that they would want to watch 10 years later. Whereas for like a business owner, it's kind of more of like an instant thing. Like, okay, they're investing this money, but it better result in some money for their company or more leads or whatever it is that they're looking for. Otherwise, it has failed its goal. So immediately I knew that these two things needed to be separated. Like I couldn't have weddings intermixing in with the business video stuff. And so I decided to separate and have Bella Ti Amo, which is our wedding brand, and I have Visual Filmworks, which is our commercial brand. And immediately it helped. Like just doing that, like when couples come to us, they don't see any of my commercial stuff. And for some people that might be a scary thing of like, well, what if like they're also a business owner or whatever? Well, eventually those conversations could come up. Like I've actually had a few times where the dad is a lawyer or something, and then we're talking at the wedding. He's like, you did an amazing job capturing my daughter's wedding. What else do you guys do? And I'm like, oh, I have a commercial brand. We work with different companies. Like, oh, that's perfect. That's what I'm looking for. So there's been those times that there's been that overlap. But for the most part, when they're first coming in the door, I don't want them to know really that we do other things. I want them to look at us as the specialist for the thing that they're looking for.
Did you come to that conclusion yourself, or did you have some business consultant or somebody else you consulted with to come to that decision?
Funny enough, I feel like I was told a lot of times the opposite. So, but I was going to other people in my field asking them, like people that I thought were a few steps ahead of me. I'd be like, hey, what do you recommend? And a lot of times they'd actually tell me it's going to be more headache. Don't do it. Like it's better just to have everything in one place and it's going to be a lot easier. So in a way, I did the opposite of what I was being advised. But then once I did it, I was seeing the fruits of it. And then just from other research I've done, it's obvious that it is better to niche down. Like I know you're familiar with Alex Hormozy. Like whenever I went through one of his books, the Making the Offers, he talks about like you need to be super niche down for your offer. Otherwise, like it's not going to be as powerful of an offer. And so I think talking with other like business coaches or just getting knowledge that's out there in the world, I think for the most part, people would say the more you can niche down, the better, especially if you want to be more boutique. But I think in my own industry, there is this fear of like, you're going to lose people if you niche down too much. But in a way, that's a good thing. Like you don't want everyone. So.
Yeah, I think we were, like you said, we met around 2011.
Yeah.
We were also going through a little bit of a transition ourselves. I think one of the first videos we did was for a website we were building for a Graciano's, which was a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking back, right? Like you were saying yes to me, you were also saying yes to possibly wedding photographers. We as a company also was actually kind of trying to find our identity as well, because we were saying yes to anybody that wanted a website.
Yeah.
And then we had to gradually get away from that and say, well, we don't want to be just a yes man to anybody who had money. We wanted to pick our own lane and had to make that transition. And a lot of it really comes down to just going through the pain of running a business. You're trying to be everything to everyone, and you realize like you're nothing to anyone, right?
Yeah.
And you were known for something, and you had to kind of come to that. So that's why I was curious whether you came to that naturally, or you also had external validation from others who kind of had gone before.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that too, because like you were mentioning, even I feel like when we met, you guys were still to an extent maybe trying to figure that out. Because even just under the umbrella of OneIMS, we did the pizza place. We did something with some attorneys. We did like there was some startup with like documents. I remember there was a manufacturing plant. So like even under that, it was like I was saying yes to all those, whereas like I wasn't a specialist in any of those things.
Yeah,
so.
And we were also just saying anything to everybody, because the animation video, I remember that too. When you were talking about the animation, I think, oh, that was done by Travis. It was definitely a caricature, right?
Yeah.
But I think we all go through a season in our business. I think it's a sign of maturity, right? You kind of have to be like, okay, I have to differentiate myself. I have to put myself into a certain core, category where I can be known for something. And how has that benefited you? And how do you kind of prioritize those two different businesses that you're trying to run? At the end of the day, they're independent entities trying to serve two different markets.
Yeah, well, I think to an extent, I was sharing this story actually before we got on air. But this is like very early on when I first kind of separated the two, and I had Visual Filmworks. One of the first clients that came through, he was a financial guy, and we'd done some other financial stuff. And so he booked us to do some video for him. And we're sitting down during lunch at the shoot, and weddings for some reason come up, and he's like, "Oh, you guys don't do weddings, right?" And stuff, like almost kind of like "Oh yeah, you're not that bad." Like, and I kind of like hear him out a little bit, like, okay, what does he have to say? Then I show him one of our wedding videos, and he's like, "Well, this isn't a wedding video. This is like a fragrant commercial or like a fashion commercial or something like that." He said, "I'm like, no, this is someone's wedding," and he was very impressed by it. And then I was kind of like, how like we're ahead of schedule right now, and how like we're getting everything done. It's because I came from this background. But at the same time, if he would have known that we did weddings, he probably would have skipped over us. So it's like, it's kind of silly. Like it's kind of like they're judging a book by the cover or whatever. But at the same time, like if people are scrolling information fast and they're just comparing you to one person or the other, if they see that you do a lot of this thing that they do, but then you also do all these other things, they might go with the other guy who only does that thing. And so it's helped in that. But even getting more specific, I think has helped. So like talking about the wedding. So when I started, we would do photo and video. Video very quickly became our obvious, this is what we're really good at. Photo was kind of just the add-on. And I decided a couple of years ago to just drop the photography. One, it helped with our relationships with other photographers where we could refer them, they would refer us. But two, we started to be able to charge more. And now we're at the point where just doing video, we make the same amount, if not more, than we did when we did photo and video packaged together. And I think the reason for that is like when you're talking higher end couples or higher end planners, they want a specialist. They don't want someone who's just bundling everything together. Like they don't want the guy who is like the Walmart of wedding vendors where it's like you get the DJ, the photographer, the videographer, your flowers, like all from one place. They want someone who only does that one thing and they do it really well. And so they're willing to pay a premium for that. Whereas if they see you do photo and video, they kind of expect a discount because you're more like a Walmart than a specialist.
Yeah, I mean, you just touched on something that I'm actually just reading a book by Ben Hardy.
Yeah.
It's called Scaling Systems. One of the concepts that he's talking about is actually growing by eliminating things, like eliminating things from your SKU or your service offerings, right? Basically, most people think I need to add more services to scale and increase revenue, but the opposite is actually true. If you want to scale and really get the actual scalability, you certainly want to do a few things, but do it really well. So I'm surprised that you also came to that conclusion by just natural evolution of your business and realize that, hey, maybe I don't want to have to do this photography side of the business and I just want a core focus of video.
Yeah.
That's impressive business lesson as well.
Yeah, and it's cool how through the years now I feel like there's been knowledge I've been given or advice I've been given where that like reinforces that of like, okay, this was the right decision. Like even I know we've both gone to like the leadership summit. I remember last year they were talking about like leaders grow with their no's, not their yeses. And it's so true. It's like it's so easy to say yes to everything that comes through. Hey, can you shoot this for me? Yes. Hey, can you shoot this for me? Yes. But like I'm never gonna really be able to do the projects I want to or really be able to take the business where I want to if I don't say no to some of those people.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually it's a discipline, right? Because sometimes you have the temptation of, oh, if I just say yes, I might get another referral from this guy, and it might lead to another business. That's the predicament most business people are in because they're all hungry for new.
Yeah.
So obviously, you certainly have come a long way from the first time we met and started working together, and you certainly have a much larger team. You have multiple different companies that you're running. So how was that transition from you just being focused on standing behind the camera and just trying to do the job? From being, okay, I'm running a business, I have multiple business, I'm an operator, I'm an owner. How was that transition of you having to get out of your creative head and now I have to be the businessman?
Well, I think in a creative business, it's very hard to do, and it was very hard for me, and I think it still is a struggle. It's probably one of my biggest struggles is like, I get, there's this tendency you get where you're like, you know what, I'll just do it myself. But it's like, you have to get past that, and I feel like, you keep working at it, and eventually it pays off. So it's not like overnight. And I think that was my struggle too, is I thought, okay, let me just find someone quick who's good at it. Let me just like, okay, they've been doing this for 5 years, but they don't have work. Maybe I could just bring them in. And a lot of times I just didn't work because we would clash because like they already have their set ways and I have my set ways and it's my business, but they still want to shoot it their own way or edit it their own way. And I want it to look like mine. So what I learned is it's almost better to find someone who's hungry versus like very talented. So like Chris, who's in this room, like he came on as an intern with me like over 5 years ago at this point. And, you know, I saw he had talent, but he was very fresh to the industry. And so naturally he just molded very well with the brand. But that took time, you know, like it wasn't just overnight because there was a lot of things I had to maybe teach him and he needed to learn. But now it's to the point where like he's someone I trust to send out. So like if say a smaller job comes through or I'm not available for a certain date, I feel comfortable sending him out there and I know that they're going to get that same level of quality and service that if it would be the same as if I was out there. But that just took time and I had to realize, okay, this isn't something that's going to scale overnight. I need to find the right people versus just any creative to be a part of this team.
Yeah. And then obviously like that delegation is something that you naturally have to learn to do, right? Like you said, especially in the creative business, you know, nobody can do as good as you, right? And you always feel like, okay, nobody else can do it. I can't delegate this. I have to be the one to do that. So finding the right people is a core function of that. And then obviously just then having the discipline to be able to say, okay, I'm going to let this guy fail and maybe I'll coach him along the way, but I need to give him enough time to succeed and grow. But to grow those leadership skills or even just the business skills, it's not enough to just learn from experience. I'm sure you are investing in yourself in learning what are things you can do to get the business to the next level, how you can grow as an actual leader. What are some of the things that you're doing to do that? You mentioned Leadership Summit as one, but what other things are you doing to actually invest in yourself to grow?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a big shift for me, and then I can kind of pinpoint it to, is around like 2015 because I started worrying less about education for the craft and trying to get more education on like running a business and kind of falling into those leadership roles. And obviously I want to always be improving my craft. I always want to make sure like I'm on the cutting edge technology and I know what's coming and I know what is current trends. But once I kind of got I got like a little bucket for that. That used to be like the whole bucket, you know. Now I have a little bucket for that. Now the big buckets are more like, how do I grow as a leader? How do I grow as a business owner? How do I grow in like these elements? Like how do I grow in delegating? How do I grow in letting go? And what I love about those kind of traits too, like the craft traits are great, but what's cool about those traits too is they also just improve your other life elements. So like me growing as a leader in a business is naturally going to help me grow as a leader, as a father, or as a husband. And so I've almost kind of become addicted to like wanting to grow that because it's not only going to help the business, but then it helps me personally as well.
Yeah, you want to be 1% better than yesterday, right? You want to continue to improve that. So like, are there specific things that you're doing that's helping you to do that? How are you able to invest in some of
Yeah.
those areas
So like I said, I used to consume a lot of like creative content, you know, and now I try to consume more business stuff, and that's evolved too. Where, like, let's say I want to do a mentorship. Like I've done some mentorships in the past. They always were very like, okay, this is like a wedding video mentorship. Not that it's like bad. I did get some stuff from there, but then I started thinking like, okay, well, the person putting this on, who's their mentor? You know, and typically their mentor was not another wedding videographer. It was someone in like the business world in some way. They were a coach or something like that. And it would be the same thing every time. Okay, I'm going to join this commercial video mentorship or, you know, workshop or whatever. Who's their coach? Well, it's not another commercial videographer. It's like a business owner. So then I'm like, well, why don't I just skip this middle step? I just go to the source. So then I started trying to figure out, okay, where are they getting their information? That's when I get the. That's how I found people like Alex Hormozy, where it was like I kept hearing that name drop by people who were like running these mentorships and stuff, and I'm like, I just get information from him. Like, why am I going to them? But then finding ways to apply that to my own business, and so that's been probably like the biggest thing is just like going to sources like that. But then I've also become like more of like an audiobook junkie. So I was kind of the person of like, well, if I don't read it, maybe it doesn't count. But then I think of my own life, it's like, I don't have time to read. Like I got like a newborn and a toddler and like I'm running a business and I still want to have some other hobbies outside of the business. Like there's not every time, but like, what am I doing all the time? I'm always driving, you know, like there's always driving involved. So I'll start listening to these audiobooks, and audiobooks have been like a wealth of knowledge for me. Just like, you know, some of like the more classics, like how to win, how to influence people and win people. But then even like newer stuff, like I've been really into like, I mean, not newer, but like Donald Miller, like building a story brand and all those kind of like resources. Like they've been super helpful for me, and they're great because like they apply to any business. So it's like I can take what I learn and now how am I going to apply that to my own business? And I think a lot of I don't really call them competition because in the creative world, I don't think a lot of us really are. But if you want to look at it that way, my competition, they're not reading that. They're kind of just getting drip fed what the other creatives are telling them from that, whereas I'm just getting it from the source. So.
Yeah. It's one thing to get head knowledge. The other thing is to implement those things. Right. And that's where most people fail, where they have a lot of head knowledge. They watch a lot of YouTube videos or even listen to audiobooks, but then forgot what the principles from those content is. So what are some practical things that you're doing to make sure, okay, I'm going to go implement this and I want to see how this is going to help me get to that next step?
Yeah. So I was mentioning like the Donald Miller book. Have you read that one?
Yeah, Story Brand. Yeah.
Yeah, and all of his other books are great too. And that one was like a really important one, I think, because I did think I was the hero, you know, in the journey, and I would try to paint it that way, and I'd get on these discovery calls, you know, they're called discovery call. I'm supposed to be discovering what they need, but I'm just talking the whole time, you know? So like, it's not really a discovery. I'm just telling them a bunch of stuff. So after reading that, I realized like I'm doing like my consultation calls like all wrong. Like I need to like just ask questions and be the guide and try to pinpoint what they need, like essentially giving them their prescription. Like I'm the doctor, they're coming to me with the problem, let me give them this prescription. And so that's like one clear area where like, okay, I need to stop putting myself in the limelight. I need to listen to their problems and I need to help them solve their problems.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not in sales conversations, on the website too, right? Yeah. And he talks a lot about how you just want to be a helper, guiding them to either a success or a path that without you as a guide, they might end up in an unpleasant environment.
Yeah.
So obviously, like from listening to that, implementing it, do you have some sort of like a notes where you're like, okay, these are action items from this audiobook that I heard, or hey, these are 3 ideas that I want to go execute, I'm going to go plan and do it. Like, is there anything that you do to be able to get things done like that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's, well, you know, a lot of times, like I was saying, I listen to these while I'm driving, so it's a little hard to jot down things. But what I do is, you know, in my car, like whatever I'm playing is on the screen that's there, and then you can hit a little bookmark. Yeah, so I'll just bookmark stuff as it's going. And then I try to sit down and reanalyze that, like once I finish the book, and like, okay, let me actually pull all these sections out that were beneficial to me. One thing I started doing, I haven't done it since we had our newborn. I need to get back on it. I had started doing like essentially a daily journal, and so it's essentially like, I don't know if there's different versions of it, but it's like a 5-minute journal, and it basically will ask you what's something you learned today, what's a takeaway for today, and it's super easy prompts. but it was great for pulling information, because I feel like for me, that is a problem, is I don't retain everything. So it's like, I hear this really great thing from an audiobook, but I don't really log it anywhere outside of that bookmark. So at the end of the day, to check in with this journal, and it's asking me, what did I learn today? Oh, well, I learned this thing from, this audiobook, and now it's concrete in this book that I could always go back to. And I think even just writing it that one time, it's like sealed in my brain more than just I heard it and I forget about it.
Mm-hmm. Most certainly. So obviously, like you said, you're running two different businesses, right?
Yeah.
Even though functionally they probably deliver the same sort of output.
Right.
But in terms of getting customers, another function of the business, right? As a business leader, you not only need to make sure that you make promises, you deliver on the promise, but you got to keep finding new clients.
Yeah.
Early days, I'm pretty sure you probably got a lot of those referrals, but referrals are not as consistent. You can't rely on it. So what were some of the things that you put in place to actually grow beyond just relying on some repeat order or referrals?
Yeah, it's interesting you said that kind of first line too, because even though they both kind of deliver video to an extent, even the way they get leads are so different. So and I think that's why it's so important that they are separate. So like with weddings, it is very relationship based, because it's all like emotionally driven in a lot of ways. Like sometimes even like rationally, some of the decisions they probably make for their wedding are all emotionally driven, and then they end up regretting it. And so the way they find you is usually emotionally based. Like they're scrolling Instagram, they fell in love with a film, they're crying over some video of someone they don't even know. They reach out, like there's ways that they kind of come in that way. But also like it is fueled a lot by referral, and not referral always in the traditional sense. Like, yes, we do a friend's wedding and now they're referring us to their other friend or whatever, that happens. But it's also just trying to be creative with how I can get other vendors to refer me. Like it's one thing to get a referral from another bride, but if you can get in really close with a planner, now essentially they're feeding you your leads for that year or whatever. And so I try to always add value when we're doing a wedding. So like we hold an extreme power that I think a lot of the other vendors don't realize all the time. I think they're becoming wiser to it, but like we take video during that day, and what would you probably say is the best form of content right now? It's video. And so I try, obviously the focus is the couple and their day, but anytime there's extra time, I try to get behind the scenes of the photographer. I try to get behind the scenes of the DJ. I ask the planner like, hey, is there anything I can get for you? And if they don't know, then I try to come up with things I can do that's going to give them value. So sometimes how we've ended a wedding is, we do like an evening shot with the couple, and if the couple is, still sober or whatever, like I'll ask them like, hey, do you want to say any last words or anything? And so this is something we'll probably never put in their video, but I just ask them. And then while I'm doing that, I try to get many testimonials for them. So I'll be like, what did you think of your planner today? Oh, she did an amazing job. She kept us on schedule. She was great. What did you think of your photographer? Oh my gosh, they got like all the shots. We saw the back of their camera. It was beautiful. Now I give these to them. I don't ask anything in return. I give these to them. But what do you think they're going to want to do? Oh, I want to work with Travis more because he's going to make this content for me when I do a wedding with him. And now they're referring me. So it's a referral, but it's like not just waiting on the referral. It's like trying to go out there and actively get that referral from them. And then of course it's just having that online presence. Like couples use Instagram like they used to use Wedding Wire or The Knot. So they go to Instagram to find vendors they like. So just making sure I'm on there in some capacity. So if they are searching for this venue, boom, there I pop up. There's one of our videos. So
yeah, and then obviously for the business side, you mentioned you get a lot more of those inquiries that are coming from Google. So
so for business, I don't feel like the referrals are as common, and not that like they don't love what we do. Like you see our Google reviews, like they leave us Google reviews, how great we are. But it's just like a lot of times, like a manufacturing company is not really talking to the other like if we do manufacturing for like a food product, they're probably not talking to the metal manufacturer. Like they don't really know each other all the time. So we have to almost find a new one every time. Like they're not going to refer us more clients. And so for us, it's been a lot of Google. And I think it's just being out there in the world. You had mentioned how like SEO, it's no longer search engine optimization, it's search everywhere optimization. And I think that's what it's happening is we're just kind of putting a variety of content out there, and that content then is feeding Google, and Google sees, okay, they're a specialist in this kind of commercial video. So then when someone's searching it out, whether it is Google or even maybe ChatGPT, we're showing up to some capacity, and then they look to us like a specialist in that industry versus just like in everything. And I've actually had that happen a couple of times where we meet with someone and they're like, well, we're thinking of going with you guys because we went to your website and there were some other things on there, but it was mostly manufacturing. Mm-hmm. And when I send them a proposal, it's only manufacturing. And they're like, we're looking at some of these other guys and they just had a lot of things going on. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we're not going forward with them. It's also been speed. We have one that's actually a really funny story. So one of our clients, Turbo is in their name. And they told me, okay, just to be fair and with our leadership, we're going to take 3 bids. I was the only one who showed up to their facility to come check out their facility. I was like, let me bring the proposal to your facility. I want to see what you guys do. He gave me a tour of the facility. 2 weeks later, still hadn't heard back from them. I'm like, hey, just checking in. How is it going? He's like, we haven't even gotten bids from these other companies yet. I'm like, Turbo's in your name. I think you should go with the first bid. And he's like, you know what? You're right. And then they move forward with us. And so just even being quick, like, the first to market has like gotten us leads because sometimes people just wait too long to send something. So
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stats around how fast you respond. It has a lot to do with whether or not you win that deal. I think it's in the first 5 minutes. If you call the lead back, your chance of closing them is almost like 30 or 40% higher than if you had waited 24 hours.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned 2 things, right? One, on the referral side, on the B2C consumers, you actually are offering something of value to your referral partners, especially wedding planners or DJs or anything like that. But then by you giving something of value, they feel obligated to give you referrals. And you're not asking, you're giving before you ask, which is I think is a big thing most entrepreneurs don't understand. A lot of times we're like, hey, do you have anybody that you want to refer me to? You're asking, and which is, it's very painstaking if all you do is do that. But if you can kind of add value, and then it's natural for those people to make referrals. But on the B2B, I think you made some good observation there, because I think a lot of times the B2B world, right, these people are not very outspoken. They're not going to go tell about their business experience with their friends and relatives.
Sometimes they don't even want to share it. Like sometimes we're on NDAs and they don't even want anyone to know who filmed it. So.
Exactly. And then on the dinner table, the last thing they want to talk about is the videographer that they're using, right? That's not the discussion that they're having. So you certainly need to have a system that drives your business, that coming to you, like looking for, right? And then being the turbo when it comes to responding back, right? But also, I remember from our conversation, you started implementing technology, right, to automate some of those things. And when did you come to the realization, now I can't live off of Excel spreadsheets in my email inbox? I got to have a system to track leads, and I have to be able to monitor and prioritize those things. Talk to us a little bit about how did you start to even implement some of those?
Yeah, so a lot of that came from the weddings, because weddings are essentially a little predictable. Like they usually book a year or 2 in advance, and you have that date on your calendar. But it's all the kind of like time in between then, like making sure that the invoice is getting paid, that they're getting their questionnaire. And it was all stuff I was doing manually of like, okay, it's getting about 6 months before the wedding, I should send this questionnaire. And so I started looking into CRMs, and we landed on 17 Hats, and we still use it to this day, and it's where primarily where all of our things go. And if you're not familiar with 17 Hats, it's kind of in the name. It's like for the people who wear 17 hats, it's like kind of helping them save a lot of time. So within that, when they, and this is where I like really opened my eyes to it. So it was like 2017, I was on a flight to a shoot, or maybe it was vacation, one or the other, I don't know. I was on a flight though, and I land and I get a notification that the quote has been accepted, they've signed the contract, and they paid the retainer. And I didn't do anything like other than send the initial quote, and they were able to check all the boxes. And so having that automation is great where, okay, they might make their decision at midnight one night, because that's just like when they have time to plan whatever they're doing. So they accept the quote. Well, immediately, I don't have to now send them something the next day. They're already getting the invoice. They're already getting the contract. They're already getting a welcome email. So it's just automating some of the stuff that really doesn't need a person doing. It just, they need to get it at some point. And then it's checking in with them. And so we've gotten upsells because of that too, where it's checking in of like, hey, you're only getting like this short film, but you could also get like a full edit or a flash drive or whatever. And they'll actually end up like making a purchase without me really needing to do anything other than this automated email. So it just saves a lot of time and stuff that doesn't really need a person doing. But then also just keeping everything organized, because especially the commercial stuff, there can be a lot of moving parts. Like we have to coordinate maybe models to an extent, like we're coordinating with their whole leadership team, their marketing person, like all this stuff. So to have it all in one place and have like these projects and contracts and everything that I can always go back to. And then it's great for them too, because I'm sure, as you know, the business owners, they lose everything. They have these email chains, and they're like, where was that contract again? Like I have a portal for them. I'm like, don't worry, it's all in this portal. Here's the link again, and they can just always go back to it. But then it's evolved. So as my business has grown, 17 hats is great, but it doesn't do everything. And so it does 17 of the 18 hats, basically. So to help with more of that lead generation, we started using Go High Level, and so we'll use that. For example, if I want to run a contest, or we do a conference, or we were at a trade show, I use that for more of the lead generation. So if they inquire in, now they're going to the system. It's all automated. It's emailing them. It's sending them a text. It's kind of handling a lot of that back end stuff that can just kind of keep us top of mind. So even if, say, they met us at an expo and they filled out our form, maybe they didn't need us then, they're still getting drip fed stuff through Go High Level, and a year later they might be ready and they remember us because of this drip feed that's happening.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, that's some important value that you provided, because a lot of times I think just because you didn't win the deal doesn't necessarily mean that opportunity just went away. They're never going to want to do business with you. Like you said, I think you were sharing a story of a company that you did a project for the client in the Illinois market, but they had there's another plant in Tennessee, but they hired somebody else locally there that didn't do a same quality of a job that you did. And they ended up saying, well, I want to buy you a ticket to go to Tennessee to make that video, right? So essentially, a lot of times, maybe the customer may have gone with another competitor, but the output may not have been at the same quality as they expected. Then if you're doing a better job of nurturing that relationship, staying top of mind when it's time for them to possibly reconsider and hire somebody, right? You're still in their inbox. So your chance of winning them is a lot higher than them going back to Google and looking up a company and then trying to fill out.
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising how often that happens. Chris and I kind of joke we're collecting infinity stones of these companies that had a bad experience and then they came back to us. They got a bid from us, they went the cheaper route, and then they came back, and it is that on top of mind. One of them, it was easier because we're filming this in the co-working space we're in. One of them was in here. They came to me for a bid. They went with someone who was cheaper, but they saw us every day, and that experience didn't go well. So he came back to me and was like, okay, we need to do this right. And so they wasted money, unfortunately, but at least they eventually got the right product. But essentially, that's what we're trying to do then on the web as well. We can't always be in front of people in person. So to be able to always have that presence. So even if they didn't use us the first time around, maybe that doesn't go well, or maybe it even did go well, but it just wasn't quite what they were looking for. Now they remember oh yeah, we did get that bid from those guys, and I remember that because they're always posting educational stuff on LinkedIn or sending us stuff to our email.
Yeah, so obviously you're in the forefront of creating videos for business-to-business clients, right? What are you seeing as the trend, and where should business leaders need to be spending money from a kind of content creation standpoint? Yeah,
I think the biggest piece of advice I would have is, I think it's confusing because you go out there and you see these videos that go viral and it was just shot on someone's phone and it's super raw and authentic. But then you do still see this high production stuff, but then there's also stuff in the middle. And what I would recommend is you want to lean into one or the other, and you could do both, but you got to do whichever one you're doing really well. You don't want to fall in the middle, and that's usually where I see content that doesn't do well. And even going back to what I was talking about where they came back to us, the final product we saw that was produced for that company, it was kind of in the middle. It wasn't professional enough, but it wasn't raw enough. So it just didn't really resonate with anyone. And you really want to hit one or the other. So if, say, you're a manufacturer and you're going to a trade show and you want to have this video to play on your screen, it can't be the raw and authentic. It needs to be very high end, very professional, slow motion shots, cool close-ups, because that's what everyone else at that trade show is probably going to have. So you got to look like that, or maybe even be better than that. But then on the flip side, if, say, you just want to have some ongoing social media content, that raw authentic is probably actually better for that. So showing some behind the scenes, hey, we just threw a birthday party for so-and-so at our company. Have someone just record it on your phone, and you don't need to hire a professional for that. Just get it on your phone, post it. It kind of shows that company culture you have. But you want to lean into one or the other. You don't want to be someone who's maybe filming stuff on a professional camera, but the lighting's not great or the audio's not great, because that just doesn't resonate with anyone. It almost kind of looks to the outside market they're not either trying hard enough or they just don't know how to try hard enough, so.
Yeah. Obviously, storytelling we hear all the time, you got to do storytelling. How do you tell a business leader, especially if you're in a boring industry industrial manufacturing or something like that, to tell a story with their product or equipment or services that they provide?
I think the best thing is to get away from scripts, unless you're someone who's just really good at reading scripts. And like, if you're, say you are the person who gets up in front of people to talk about what you do, like if you're a Steve Jobs type person, you could maybe do that. But I would say your average business owner or CEO or leader in that company probably does not have that like same level of expertise, or if they do, they can maybe do it in front of a stage, but they don't know how to do it in front of a camera. So it's better to have questions given to you, and you're given basically questions that prompt responses, and then having a really good editing team putting that together and building a narrative. And I would say, to take that even a step further, I don't even think you as the business owner needs to be in the video. You need to get your clients telling these stories, because those are going to be way more impactful. Like, for example, like if we're doing a video for like a home builder, it's one thing for them to talk about the process and what makes them different and everything, but to get like a homeowner on there and the homeowner is getting choked up because they're talking about like how this is like their forever home and the experiences they're having there, and then to go even further and us getting B-roll of them in their house, like that's going to be way more powerful than you reading a script and it's just your face on the camera the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're describing is like you need to think about not just bragging about ourselves,
right,
but you need to actually have the customers tell a story of how they've enjoyed whatever the product or service.
Let them brag for you, basically.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of times, I think the feature benefit discussion too, a lot of times everybody's just talking about, we're the best, we have 80 years of history, we do this. But a lot of times, what's in it for me? Like, that's the question that most people are asking, right? And if you can't tell that from the content you're creating, you're doing a disservice to your brand.
I had a sales coach I was working with. This is like shortly after I discovered the Donald Miller stuff, and I'm like, okay, how do I apply this now to what I do? So I met with them, and they kind of helped me form a script that I could kind of use as a guideline for consultation calls. And he had compared it to like when you go to a bicycle shop, the salesman who does it wrong is trying to sell you on like the size of the tires and the how many gears it has. The one that does it right is, say it's like a grandfather that comes in. Now they're asking you questions. Well, why do you want a bike? Oh, I want to ride bikes with my grandkids. Oh, well, like, why do you want to ride bikes with your grandkids? Oh, well, I'm getting older. They're getting older. I want to have this experience. Now you're selling them on a story and like the essentially what's going to happen and the feeling he's going to have having the bike versus selling him on features that he probably doesn't know anything about or doesn't care about.
Yeah, I just actually went and bought a bike for my son for the same reason.
Was there a bike salesman there?
I don't think they did a great job, but they did ask me like whether I'm going to go do like mountain biking, am I going to go to trails, or am I going to do on the streets, where we're going to do street bikes. So it's like a very smaller, thin tire bikes, not like those big, fat, whatever you call those tires, which is like mountain bikes. They're harder to ride on a local road. But yeah, I guess he asked some questions, but I wouldn't say he did a great job of like trying to get me to emotionally attach to the whole bike that we're buying. But obviously there's a lot that we can talk about, and certainly you've learned a lot about business, and certainly a lot of things that you've learned from coaching and going through conferences and audiobooks. Knowing what you know today, looking back at life, what would you tell the younger Travis?
Oh man, I feel like this question's on every podcast. I should have been prepared, but I'm not prepared. I don't think I have any regrets. I mean, like with running a business, I think you, the mistakes you make kind of make you stronger at what you're doing. Like we have to kind of be brought down sometimes to be able to excel in what we want to do. With that said, I think I wish I had more emphasis on the educational piece of it. And I think like aligning myself with others who are maybe a little bit ahead of me, or maybe they're even in the same steps as me, but like we could grow together. I think I tried to do a lot of things myself and kind of stayed in my own little bubble for a very long time. And I think that kind of stunted my growth for the longest time. Like I feel like I was kind of in the same spot for a good, I would almost say I really didn't even start figuring out the business stuff till like 2016, 2017. And I probably would have took off a lot faster with that if I would have been like leaning into other resources and stuff. Like I remember there's this conference called WPPI that's for like photo and video, and it's like portrait wedding focused. The first time I went to that was like 2017, and I was like, why was I not going to this sooner? It's like $200 for a ticket. It's like unlimited knowledge from these people who have been doing it for years, and you're networking with all these people where you're sharing stories and you're growing with each other. It's like, this is like better than college, basically. Like why was I not doing this sooner? And I think like I would have accelerated faster knowing that ahead of time. So
yeah, I think I've heard like if you read a book you're actually shortcutting, like somebody
Yeah.
else's 20 years of experience, they condense into 180 pages.
Yeah.
And you're just shortcutting their learning by actually applying. So the same is true of conferences or podcasts or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome, Travis. I certainly appreciate you sharing this time with me and being a guest.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on here, Sam. Thank you.
This episode of Coffee with Closers is brought to you by OneIMS, a leading digital marketing agency helping businesses win new customers. To request a free marketing ROI audit, please visit oneims.com. If you enjoyed this video, please share it. To make sure you never miss an episode, please subscribe.